And welcome back. It's Jason Walter here. And again, welcome to my temporary office here. I want to make today's video because there's a very interesting and really eye-opening report that Black Knight, which is a data analytics firm that supports the real estate and mortgage industries here. Black Knight reported today that home prices have been decreasing on a national level compared to the peak of this year, which of course was June. So I want to go over this report with you guys because there's some pretty eye-opening trends that they're reporting here for the month of August. And this report was just released on October 3rd of this year. So before we get started, if you guys are looking for a real estate agent referral, or you're looking to buy or sell a house in virtually any parts of the United States, then check out that link below, which is homeandmoney.com/Jason to get started today. And with that said, let's begin today's video. This again is according to Black Knight here. And here's the headline: home prices down again in August, with the average home price down nationally, down 2% from June's peak of this year. And meanwhile, inventory growth stalls out as sellers step back. We're not seeing enough new listings hitting the market, and therefore because of that, we're not seeing this giant increase of inventory growth like we once did this spring. So check this out. It says, according to Black Knight's home price index, this is an index based on home prices, their HPI or their home price index. So based on this index here, the median home price fell 0.98% in August, only slightly better than July's upward revised 1.05% monthly decline. So in June to July, home prices decreased by 1.05%, and then from July to August, home prices decreased by 0.98%. Again, this is based on their HPI or their home price index. So July and August 2022 marked the largest single month price declines since January 2009 and rank amongst the 8th largest on record, which is pretty mind-blowing here. I'm going to be sharing some trends, by the way, regarding home prices by city as well, because they also state the cities that have been most impacted by this housing market slowdown here, and the cities really that have the biggest declines in home prices compared to the peak of this year, which of course was June. So now the monthly rate of home price declines is now rivaling that seen during the Great Recession. The question is, how long will it continue to do so? So here's a chart showing home prices ever since August of 2000, which is right here. So the left axis right here is for annual home price growth. Obviously, home prices changing on a year-over-year basis. And that's the light green bars right here. The dark green bars here is the month-over-month changes in their home price index. As you can see right here, the 1 month home price change. So let's first look at annual home price growth. So despite the fact that home prices decreased in July and also in August on a month-to-month basis, so again, down just a little bit over 1% in July and down again by 0.9% in August. But despite this big decrease in home prices over the past couple months, we're still up 12.1% for home prices compared to 1 year ago. But this is vastly different compared to the gains we saw of around 20% during the spring months of last year, as well as the spring months of this year. And during those peaks, home prices were increasing by about 20% plus, which is obviously vastly different compared to right now, again on a year-over-year basis by 12%. But look at this though. This is the second consecutive month where home prices have declined compared to the previous month. We haven't seen anything even close to this ever since basically 2009, which is right here. This is where we saw month-to-month changes in home prices down over 1.2%, very, very close to 1.8%, as you can see right here. And this big decrease in home prices is also much greater compared to 2018. In the last half of 2018, I would say that last 3 months of 2018, home prices actually declined. And that was because the average 30-year fixed across the United States, the average 30-year fixed mortgage rate went to 5% by the end of 2018. And that caused a slowdown in our housing market. But what we're seeing right now is this giant trajectory in mortgage rates, and that's causing home price growth to really slow down on a yearly basis, but especially to decrease on a month-to-month basis. And going back to Black Knight's report here, it's pretty eye-opening that this declines on a month-to-month basis in July and August, rivals January of 2009. And stay tuned here in just a little bit because I'm be sharing how each of the cities fared across the United States, because there's some very big differences here regarding decreases in home prices compared to the peak of this year. In regards to housing inventory, here's what Black Knight had to say. After rising sharply from May through July of this year, housing inventory levels stalled in August, growing at just 1/10 of the rate we saw in recent months, as sellers appeared to take a step back from the housing market. So the inventory growth we saw in the first half of this year really started around April this year through July was basically straight up. And now the inventory growth has basically been stalling out, according to Black Knight here, ever since August of this year. And it says here sellers are likely being deterred by falling home prices and also falling home buying demand, along with growing disincentive to give up historically low interest rates in a sharply rising rate environment. Obviously, I talk about this on the channel quite a bit. If you guys follow the channel, I always talk about how there's going to be a lack of new listings hitting the market, given the fact that people like myself don't want to give up historically low interest rates. If you have a rate less than 3%, it doesn't give you a lot of motivation to sell your house, right? And going back to home prices here, it says July and August month-over-month declines mark the sharpest contractions seen in more than 13 years since January 2009. Also, their Black Knight HPI for August, again, down 1.5% in July and down 0.98% in August. Either one of these would have been the largest single month price decline since January 2009. The only other months with higher single month price declines that we saw in July and August of this year were in the winter of 2008, following the Lehman Brothers bankruptcy and subsequent financial crisis. Okay, let's talk about home prices on a city level, because this is pretty eye-opening here. Black Knight is reporting that prices, or home prices of course, have pulled back from peak levels in 97 of the nation's 100 largest markets, including all of the top 50. So home prices have been declining compared to June of this year in the vast majority of the markets in the United States. Again, 97 of the 100 largest markets, and all in the top 50 here. It says while 20% of the markets have only seen marginal declines of less than 1% so far, a third have experienced drops of 3% or more, including 9 markets where prices have fallen more than 5%. I'll share those cities here in just a little bit here. It says San Jose, prices declined by 13% or $203,000 since the peak of this year, which was, of course, was June here. That was followed by San Francisco, a drop by 10.8%, where prices declined by $137,000, and Seattle down by 9.9%. So obviously in San Francisco, I believe the median sold price is around $1.5 million. At San Jose, it's very close as well. So home prices have been declining greatly by double digits compared to June of this year in those markets here. It's also interesting to note that the biggest price declines have been located in the West. But it says here, cracks are beginning to form elsewhere in the U.S. here. So for example, in Las Vegas, Austin, Texas, Minneapolis, Washington, Raleigh, and Nashville, Tennessee all have shed 3% of home values in recent months. However, though, it says price pullbacks have moderated in August compared to July of this year, and those were in some of the most severely impacted markets here. But Las Vegas, Raleigh, and Nashville saw even steeper month-over-month declines in August compared to July of this year. So here's an example. Prices in San Jose, which experienced drops of 4.1% and 4.2% in June and July of this year, fell by a still sharp but more modest 2.6% in August. So prices declined by more than 4% in June and July of this year, but in August, prices only decreased by 2.6%. On top of that, San Francisco, Seattle, San Diego, Denver, Sacramento, and Los Angeles also saw smaller declines in August than in the previous months. And Black Knight is spot on regarding their next statement here, because they say sharply rising rates and worsening affordability through September may put renewed pressure on prices moving into fall and winter. So even though some markets saw some moderation in home price declines, it may get worse in the winter months here because mortgage rates have increased so much in September. And let me give you an example regarding this, because here's mortgage rates in August through September this year. So as of August 1st, mortgage rates averaged 5.05% on a national level for people with exceptional credit. But it took, 22 days in order to get to 5.72%. So the vast majority of August had rates below 5.7%. But look what happened once we hit September. So on September 1st, average rates increased to 6.23%. And in fact, there was only 2 days, which was right here, which is the 9th and also on the 10th, where mortgage rates were actually slightly below 6%. So the vast majority of September had rates well over 6%, and they ended the month at 6.79%. So this report I'm sharing with you guys today regarding home prices for August, this report will get worse next month because mortgage rates have been increasing so much over the past 30 days. Now going back to Black Knight's report here, here's a pretty mind-blowing chart here because they're showing the percent change in home prices compared to June of this year, the peak. So in San Jose, again, decreasing by 13% from June. And look at this, San Francisco down by 10.8%, Seattle, Washington 9.9%, San Diego 7.6%, Denver, Colorado, as well as Sacramento, and Phoenix, Arizona down about 6% compared to June. Los Angeles down by 5.8%, Portland, Oregon, Riverside, Las Vegas, Austin, Texas, and Minneapolis, Washington, D.C., Raleigh, and Nashville, Tennessee, all down over 3% compared to June of this year. So again, it's really interesting to see that the vast majority of these cities that had the biggest declines in home prices were in the West Coast here, except for right here. So Austin, Texas is the first city here where we saw declines over 3.7%. And when Black Knight's talking about some moderation in home price declines, you can see that when looking at San Jose, for example, because look at this as of May. Here's June, here's July, here's August. As you can see right here, the drops were huge in June as well as July, but not as great in August. Same thing for San Francisco because we saw big declines in June and July, but not as big in August. In stark contrast though, look at Minneapolis, Minnesota, as well as Raleigh, North Carolina. The month-over-month changes have actually been steeper and steeper going through August of this year. In regards to housing inventory, here's what Black Knight had to say. Historically low inventory along with record low interest rates was one of the key drivers behind U.S. home prices seeing essentially a decade's worth of appreciation in just 2.5 years. Levels have been improving though. We went from 1.7 month housing supply at the beginning of this year. Now we're sitting at a 3.1 month housing supply as of August, according to Black Knight here. And they say it'll be worth watching inventory levels very closely in the coming months for any sign of a shift in seller sentiment. And check this out because this is pretty eye-opening here. It says, though prices have pulled back from recent historical peaks that we saw in June of this year, housing remains historically unaffordable. Surging 30-year mortgage rates have pushed housing affordability to its worst point in 38 years, easily surpassing June's at that time record-setting 34.3% payment-to-income ratio. So June's payment-to-income ratio was 34.3%. That was an all-time record high. But have a look at this, because with rates at 6.7% as of September 29th, 38.2% of the median household income is needed to make the principal and interest payment, or P&I payment, on the median price home purchase, the largest share since December 1984, when mortgage rates were at 13.2%. So in June, we went from an all-time record high for a payment-to-income ratio of 34.3%. But given the fact that home prices are still very high, but more importantly, because mortgage rates have actually skyrocketed, that ratio has increased to 38.2%, the highest levels we had since 1984 when mortgage rates were over 13%. And home buyers right now are really stuck between a rock and a hard place because the monthly P&I payment on the median price home is up $930 from the same time last year, or a 73% increase compared to 1 year ago. This is also geographically widespread as well because 84 of the 100 largest US markets are more than a 3-decade low in terms of housing affordability. So 84 of the 100 largest markets in the US right now are more than a 3-decade low regarding housing affordability, and this will get worse if mortgage rates continue to increase. And with that said, if you guys got any value of this video whatsoever, then please hit the like button. I greatly appreciate that. Hope you guys have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.